up everyone, this is Blue Nova. I'm here to bring you guys a new tutorial, well pretty much a beat breakdown of how I made a Travis Scott, Don Toliver and Jackboys kind of beat. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you've been subscribed, stay subscribed because new tutorials are coming very soon. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys some of the sounds I use and just break down everything that I did. So this is the first sound we have, and it's just a guitar. So these are the chords that I laid out. And just to show you guys what sound it is Omnisphere. And I just went to guitars and used the Smoke Lap Still C preset, and that's what gave me the sound. As far as EQing it, I just EQ'd up to 100 and killed off to the 10K and the Fruity limiter. I just put that on so that the overall sound is consistent in volume. So next thing we have is this bell sound. So these are the notes that I laid out for the bell. And as far as EQing it, all I did was roll off a lot of the 10K region just so that the hi-hats and snares and other elements push through in this area. I rolled off in the low area just because I want my 808s and kicks just to be within that, just within that bass region. And as far as leveling it, I just put it a little bit lower, just really at -18. So next sound we have is this. It's another guitar. And this guitar is Glorious Steel in Omnisphere. So just so you guys are familiar with what sound I use specifically. And EQing it, I just rolled off the 100 up to the 100 region and killed off to the 10K because I don't want my hi-hats to be clashing in those frequencies. And I usually have my second melodies a little bit lower. I don't have everything at the same volume. So my lead guitar was at -9. I had the secondary guitar at -12. Usually I keep it around -12 or -15. So next I have this flute. And this flute is actually in citrus. It's a flute usually used in a lot of beats. So it's actually stocked in citrus. So you guys can go ahead and access that anytime. As far as the notes that I laid out, this is what I did. So as far as some of these higher notes, I went ahead and manually just changed the velocity just so that when you hear higher notes, you actually want to have them lower in volume because you don't want them to hurt the listener's ears. So that's why I went ahead and did that. As far as the processing on it, I just used a Fruity filter. Without the Fruity filter and the EQ, this is what it sounds like. So you can hear a lot more of the airiness, but I wanted to take it out. So using a Fruity filter, just turned it on and used the cut off frequency and just rolled it down a little bit. The EQ just killed up to around 200 hertz and killed a little bit of the 10K region just to give it a little bit of cleanliness to the sound. Also used a Fruity limiter just so that the overall sound doesn't peak above -15. It doesn't have to be at this exact value, but like I said, I want my sounds to be very consistent. Playing the melody together. And also on the master channel, we're just having a Fruity soft clipper. I'm gonna get into everything later as far as all these other plugins that are here. So next I have this, it's kind of like a percussion sound. Had that -15 without any kind of processing on it. I have a hi-hat pattern. I have my hi-hats at -12. Most of the time I usually keep my hi-hats at around -9, really just with the lead melody. So this time I just lowered it down and I killed up to 2K. Then I use a Fruity limiter on top. And most of the time, I usually always keep my hi-hats in mono frequency. That's just personal thing that I always do. But if it has reverb on it, then I'll take the mono. I'll just take off mono signal into it. And just so you guys see the hi-hat patterns that I did, just had some rolls that I did, just going some that are going at 1/6, some at 1/3. These are more the 1/3 ones right here. And just change the velocity. A lot of producers need to start. For a lot of you guys who don't know, if you're doing your hi-hat rolls, you want to have them lower in volume. You don't want to have them super loud and the same level as your, as the lead ones that are hitting on the ones. Now this Rimshot, I actually use this Rimshot a lot. It's actually the same Rimshot in Travis Scott Can't Say, but I just pitched this one down to 200 cents. And without the fruity filter, you can hear a lot more of the high presence. EQing it, I just EQ'd up to 200, just so that there's not any low end muddiness. Then the next thing we have is gonna be this 808. So I just killed up to 200 hertz. And as far as, I just put a fruity limiter just so that the 808 isn't going past -6. Most of the time, if I have a more distorted 808, I usually keep that at -9, but I wanted this 808 to punch through a little bit more. After this, we have a kick. And most of my kicks, I usually EQ up to 30 hertz. And a lot of people usually go to the piano roll with their kicks. I usually just drag mine into the playlist. And I feel like I have a little bit more control doing that as far as editing goes. Then I have this Rimshot that passes through. And I just killed up to 200. I have this open hi-hat, killed up to 2K. And I had that a little bit lower, have that going at -18. Most of my open percussions that they're usually always at -18. I have this percussion, which is kind of like a tambourine sound right here, which is gonna be my drum kit later on whenever I finish that up. So it's like a phased out tambourine. I also have this tambourine shaker that's going in, and this is I've had this tambourine shaker for years now. I think it was in the, I forgot what kit, I think in a Johnny Giuliano kit, but I've had this one for God knows when, but killed up to 2K with it. If I was to roll it back off. So just to clean up the sound a little bit more. And going through and playing everything together. There's other few elements going in, but like a percussion, it's like another Rimshot right here. Have that -6. And EQing it, just killed up to 200. Then I also have an open percussion that starts right on the drop. Have that killed up to 2K. And as far as I have a transition that comes in right here. It's really just a swoop kind of sound. I killed up to around 30 hertz. And just put a little bit more reverb because I wanted the tail of it to travel a little bit more. So that's why I went ahead and did that. Now to play the beat all together, and this is without the master channel on it, it's just a fruity soft clipper on top. Oh, and also there's one bass sound that is also good to use. I believe it's in Harmless. And this is the preset. It's called Simpleton GOL, and this is the bass sound for it. So I felt like it gave it a nice little touch before the actual beat drops. I use a blood overdrive on top of it. Without the blood overdrive, this is what it sounds like. It doesn't have too much character. and then putting it on top. So yeah, then other last elements, I also used a C sound, and this is in Citrus. You can get the C sound, like I said, the stock sound in Citrus. I like to use like weird Foley kind of elements in the background of my beats. Another sound that I used was like a bird tweet, just to set off the tone a little bit. And like I said, this also in Citrus. Added some fruity reverb too, just to give it like that nature vibe. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did as far as, you know, actually creating the sound and some of the processing that I did. Now we're gonna get into the master channel. Now, if you watch a lot of my vocal preset tutorials, you'll notice that I always use a Fruity Convolver, but I would not always recommend doing this if you're making a beat and just, you know, probably putting it on YouTube or whatever. Most people who need to master your songs, they kind of have their own way, so I don't always recommend putting any EQ on top. I always say do it last if you're recording your vocals and everything. So the Fruity Convolver, just using an EQ and killing up to 15K, because a lot of songs nowadays you usually kill it up to 15K. I have a Isotope Ozone 5 imager, and what I always do is put my bass, my band 1, in 100% down straight to mono, and then in my high region in the band 4 right here, I just drop mine down -31. I don't always drop it down this much. It kind of depends on how wide my sounds are. If you're making a pop record, I always see a lot of people turn all these up to stereo. That's not good. You don't always want your sounds way too wide. You kind of have to go by ear and also see what's best for your specific beat. So if we're gonna play everything all together, you can see the bass right here. Before, you can see all that wideness. We just want to kill that. And then, like I said, I just kill mine down a little bit, not too much. Also, a very last thing that I might do on some of my beats, it kind of depends if my beat isn't like clipping and breaking too bad. I always, not even always, just sometimes, but I'll usually boost the gain up by 3 decibels and bring the ceiling all the way up, so that when the ceiling is all the way up, the dynamics of your beat aren't being compressed with the limiter or the release or attack or none of that. So the soft clipper is just going to stop everything from going past 0 decibels. And overall, just gonna make your beat louder. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did as far as making a Travis Scott, Don Toliver, Jackboys type beat. If you like this tutorial, go ahead and thumbs up. Leave in the comment section what you want to see next. And if you need your songs mixed and mastered, you know where to go to, bluenovabeats.com. Go to the contact form on the very bottom of the page and send me a message there. If you need any vocal presets, you can get that on the site too. Don't leave without subscribing and thumbs up this video. But I'll catch you guys on the next one.